Salutations! My name is Phil, aka JCServant, and it's time for another round of Q&A. A couple of days ago, a friend wrote to me and simply asked me what I thought about how they could use their gifts and their talents to best glorify God. Many times you can use your gifts and your talents within a local church. If you have the gift of singing or music, teaching, you like to take care of young people, chances are you can find a way to plug into your local church and do that, and that's important. Especially if God, of course, led you in that direction to serve within your local church. However, many of us have gifts and talent sets that don't always fit in really well with the church setting or don't really plug into it. For example, I'm a comic book artist, and my drawings and whatnot don't exactly fit in with your traditional church setup. And so sometimes we have to look outside of the box and find ways to serve God outside the local church community. Now, for example, I do my comic books on the internet at cyberlightcomics.com. And there, it brings people closer to God, and my comics glorify God on the internet. That doesn't mean I can't share them at church or hand out cards and tell other people about Cyberlight at church and whatnot. But the work that I do is primarily outside of church. Interestingly enough, I've been seeing more and more churches that are actively engaging with their congregation on a one-on-one basis to help them discover their talents and encourage them to start doing ministries outside the church if it's something that doesn't really apply within the local body and whatnot. It's very important that if you're part of a church, you're a Christian, that you find a way to serve God with the gifts, the time, the talents, and whatnot He's given you. The Bible tells us the parable about the servant who was given money from the master before the master left for a time. When the master came back, he was extremely upset with the servant because the servant had simply buried the money in the ground instead of going out and putting it to use by investing or hiring some people to do some work to turn around and make more money or whatever have you. The master was quite upset. God's given us all opportunities, time, talents, gifts, money, whatever you want, whatever you have in your life, so that we can turn around and reinvest those to doing things that glorify Him. The primary object, I believe anyways, the primary purpose of God and Jesus, our primary purpose is to reflect the love of Jesus and God to those around us. The Bible also says, this is how they will know you are my disciples, if you love one another. So it's important that we take as many opportunities to serve the local community of Christians first, and then serve other Christians next, like on the internet or in our, outside or whatnot, and then if there's still more to be done, or your talents go outside of that, of course, helping any of our fellow men, the widows, the poor, the homeless, anything like that. But it's important that we're continuously reinvesting our time, our talents, and whatnot to further the kingdom of God and to glorify Jesus Christ. Listen to this quote from Cecil Hook. He was a pastor for many decades in one of the denominations. He retired in the 80s and started writing some very interesting books. Here's a quote. I now encourage, let me preface this quote by saying, this is a quote that he did after he had retired and he had written some books. And during an interview he said, I now encourage each person to use his or her talents in private ministry. Whatever constructive thing you can do best and enjoy doing most can be used as your ministry for God. This does not eliminate the need to work with others in a congregation, but neither does it need connection to the organized system. One does not need elder permission or assignment to carry out his or her ministry. You can support your own ministry without apology. If others wish to help in any manner, that is acceptable, but one does not need to call for help to do what God has gifted him or her to do. Neither must one give dedicated money to the church, where it is consumed mainly by real estate and salaries, then ask for permission and help to carry on his or her ministry. Since my retirement from congregational ministry, I can testify that my private ministry, with volunteer help from many others, has been the most effective and rewarding effort of my career. and due to the nature of my writings, if I had waited for a congregation to sponsor it, undoubtedly I would still be waiting. The concept makes religion personal and practical and best utilizes both the individual and his or her abilities and money." End quote. So now I wanted to make it very clear. I'm not saying everyone just leave the church, take your money with you, start your own ministry, and have a nice day. No. Even he mentions being part of the ministry or being part of a local congregation of some way, shape, or form is very important, whether it's a traditional church, an organic church, or one of many other things in between. That's important. And you should always spend your money as God leads you. So if that's to plug into church, great. If that's plugged into your ministry, great. But if you feel led to take what money you do have and spend it on that ministry, like for example, I do comic books. I have to run a website. That costs money. I have to put money in order to advertise it, otherwise nobody sees it. And of course that costs money. So if I feel God leading me to spend money on advertising that website, and I don't give as much in the offering plate or whatever have you, then that's okay. It's all going to glorify God. But you know, at the same token, if God's leading you to help in the church and dedicate yourself to church or your money, you need to do whatever direction God leads you. But the most important thing is that somehow your time, your talent, you're plugged in to actively work for God on a very regular basis and further His kingdom. So I hope that helps to answer a couple of questions out there. I wish you all the best, and we'll have another one of these very soon. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to email me. The email will be up on the description and whatnot. Feel free to shoot me off a message or an instant message, or you can put a comment down below with your question, and I will be happy to answer it. Until then, take care, God bless, and visit us at cyberlightcomics.com. Thanks.